we're having a lot more focus on these. We're having a lot more focus on these. We're having a lot more focus on these. We're having a lot.
And welcome to the game. As we said before, on the left side of your spectator UI, the blue team is going to be Who Is Our Coach and Brexit on the right side. It looks like we do have this Sobek in the solo lane and Geb in support. And here's what's surprising me. First thing that sticks out, we see Kronos in the middle lane and Chiron in the ADC. It's the opposite of what I was expecting.
Yeah, definitely not terrible now. Mid laners are still known to get pretty good farm this time of age, but it seems like we're having a lot more focus on these like hyper carries and these late game characters being put into the dual lane, even to the extent where we see a lot of players putting even mages into this lane, that aren't typically like attack carry roles, just because of the amount of farm they're able to get early in the game. But it does look like they're sending their support, our Who's Our Coach, they're sending their support to the dual lane. So they're not really looking for the hyper farm strat out of their ADC.
I think that's Brexit that has the support in the dual lane.
Is it?
Oh
I thought
no.
Brexit had the Poseidon.
Wait, no, okay, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I think the Geb might just be late to lane, actually.
Oh yeah, it is. Oh,
But no big
a
deal.
little awkward.
One thing that's sort of interesting is Merc has gone tier 1 crit first item. What do you think about that?
I don't like it as a jungler myself. I feel like he's betting everything on RNG here. He doesn't have strong camp clear to begin with as a Mercury.
Right.
So getting an item that relies on RNG for its power, because there's not a lot of power behind that item. I think it's what, 5 power, 10 power. Yeah, it's 10 power as opposed to the
Yeah.
15 you would get out of Mace, or the extra movement speed that you get out of tier 1 Katana, which is really useful. I just don't like it unless he gets some kills early. I think it's gonna come back to slow down his build.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it either. Normally, you've seen Mercs in the past go towards these, like some not even going boots. You can see them go 2 katanas instead, and this just doesn't even give them that option.
I do see the Chronos started out with tier 1 boots as well. As a mid
Yeah.
laner, which is my current role, I don't like that at all. It gives him the opportunity to run 4 health pots, which I wouldn't do on Chronos anyway. I feel like he benefits a lot better from like a Bancrofts or something that gives him some life steal and power to kind of get him through his tough early game.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. It's like the ADC has gone for a more mid build, and the mid has gone for a more ADC build. ADC is known to start those tier 1 boots in lane for the early fights. Looks like
Looking at
we
the dual lane, it
might.
looks like red team here, Brexit, has gotten the pressure in lane, which is surprising with an Athena Chiron getting out pressured by Geb Neath. Neath, of course, one of those hunters that gets good pressure, but Geb definitely not known for the pressure he's able to get, at least in wave clear in lane.
I think it might have been because they got the pressure early and were able to steal their purple buff. Who is our coach? We're able to
Oh,
steal the
it does,
enemy team's purple
yeah.
buff. So they may have just lost that one wave there. Interestingly enough, though, they're not ahead by 2 purple buffs, just one with reduced XP because they let the Merc come over here and solo their purple buff. So I think they're maybe looking to get the. That might be a premeditated strat, but looking to get the Merc a little bit ahead early.
I mean, definitely with the itemization that he's gone for, he definitely needs to be able to get his turn online. We have a taunt here in the dual lane. Neath's backflip
Yep.
is down. Chiron has a dash activated, and that'll be the first blood in favor of who's our coach.
Very nice. I didn't expect Neath to die quite that fast. Did she end up using beads? I
I
know she
didn't
went
see a bees
Aegis
activated.
actually.
Okay. Yeah,
That
just the
surprises me.
unexpected damage out of the Chiron 2. The Chiron 2 got the slow off after her backflip, and they were just able to run her down very easily.
Yeah, definitely a good play by them. I was looking at I was looking at the builds by them as well. Oh, actually, they're looking for a red buff invade, but it doesn't look like the timer is going to be on their
Looks
side.
like
They
we have a
might.
rotation here around onto the Neath, looking to pull blood again. She's able to backflip out of there, get out of the dangerous corridor.
Good for them. Good rotation by the Poseidon over here to make sure that another purple buff invade doesn't happen. Might look for a fight here if we see Ao Kwang come in, but it looks like he's just backing. Another
Geb's here
interesting
about half health. Go ahead.
Another
Sorry.
interesting thing I was looking at with the builds is 3 players on Brexit choose to start tier 1 Bancrofts called Tiny Trinket. Forgot the name for a second, but tier 1 Bancrofts also leads into a bunch of lifesteal. What do you expect from these 3 respective players?
I'm expecting both the Poseidon and the Alquang to definitely to itemize into that Bancrofts. It's a 1100 gold from the tier 2. So it's going to be a pretty cheap source of power. It gives you a lot of power, a lot of lifesteal, plus a passive allowing you to sustain in fights a lot
Sure.
longer. We have seen in the solo lane lately the rise of Pythag's piece. So
Yep.
I expect that to be the itemization here for the Sobek.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised to see the Pythax piece from the Sobek. I know that we've seen a lot in the meta recently, but I feel like Sobek, especially earlier, getting out pressured as hard as he will be by a Bologna, won't be able to make super good use of it. But benefits of going early, and of course, his Sobek is such in lane that he can't really get punished for something like that.
It does seem like right now, unless he's backed in bot pots, Sobek is definitely winning the Warrior of Attrition right now in the solo lane. He's got 13 stacks on his Warrior's Blessing compared to Bologna's 9. And he still has 4 regular health pots ticking available to him. Where it
Yeah.
seems like Bologna used all of her pots and has just her Chalice. She backs and grabs 2 wards and her Berserkers.
A lot of wards in the inventory in the early game here. Really, really happy to see that. Good to see the SLL coaches reinforcing that wards are very important.
Wards
Um,
win games.
wards absolutely do win games. Kronos takes a little bit of a dangerous pathing back into mid here, but Ao Kwang may not have been on the same page as Poseidon, ends up backing off to do those back camps. Relatively slow game to start, even though there was a first blood over in that duel lane. The gold is still really just from that. They're about 500 gold, 600 gold up. So no clear advantage here.
I do want to point out actives and I'm sorry, relics. We changed the names on these so many times. Relics on the side of who's our coach. I don't see a single Aegis on their side, and they're against a Poseidon.
Yeah, well, you were talking about how they want the beads to defend against the Ao Kwang ultimate, right? And
Mhm.
again, the later game, the beads to defend against the Sobek pluck, right? So definitely need beads, but I do tend to agree with you, especially in the middle lane where Kronos has that CC immune ultimate. I would have expected him to go Aegis.
Mhm.
Hmm. Looks like pretty standard stuff. There might have been, yeah, there was just a fight in the solo lane, but everybody leaves with about half HP. Nothing really comes of it. I mean, both of these teams tend to be later game comps, in all honesty. So I think we might be looking at a 30 to 40 minute game.
Yeah, definitely. I think say the most early game character I see on this map is probably the Neath.
And Neith isn't even that early game. She applies
Yeah,
great lane pressure, but during the mid game, I mean, she is just farm, farm, farm. My
exactly.
real question come the late game is gonna be which jungler gets the better of the other team, right? Ao Kwang, known to be a very solo carry jungler, can melt basically anybody on the enemy team. Same exact thing with Merc. So I'm really looking at who takes
Looks like
better.
we might have a fight going on here. Sorry to interrupt you. Right at these oracles, we have a Athena taunt going off. Geb knocked down to about half HP. And Merc is gonna miss his dash, and it looks like everybody's gonna disengage.
I think maybe if Merc hit that dash, Chiron would have been able to hit a one, but Ao Kwang dashing in hits a couple of abilities. Oh, Geb rolls
Geb
out into
dashes
the
in. Looks
Athena.
like they're committing to this. They're looking for the Athena. Quarter health. Ao Kwang ultimate will get the execute. Does he go back in on this Mercury? He does. There's the Kraken.
Wow, fantastic combo from there. Chiron's able to clean up the Geb though in the backline. Willie, I think his two may be on cooldown, or else he probably would have used it on that Poseidon, but probably not enough to get the kill. Chrono's still dealing some poke here in the mid lane. Hits the 3, hits the 1, isn't able to get the kill though. Just obviously not late enough into the game. Really,
Um,
really fantastic. I think play from the Geb. Honestly, I think a
yeah,
lot of people underestimate Geb's ability to play aggressive, but he just rolls in there and goes for it.
definitely. Just want to look at big winner in that fight. I feel like is the Ao Kwang. Not only does he find himself a kill and assist, but he also kills his direct opponent in the Mercury, which he's these two characters are basically on a race to the late game, right? Both of these characters want to be able to itemize into that third or fourth item slot, right, where Ao Kuang's able to get his penetration online in the form of
Yep.
either Demonic Grip or Obsidian Shard, whichever he chooses to itemize into. And Mercury really wants to be able to get his one movement speed item and then that Rage before they are able to really swing in these team fights. So being able to get that little bit of a lead is going to help him accelerate towards late game
Looks like we
faster.
see a Neath ult in the mid lane, which gets Chrono speeds, and Merc dashes in, but as Chrono's running away, it's a little bit of a miscommunication there. Both players end up at about half health. Looking at Ao Kuang to really take advantage of the fact that Kronos' beads are down for now, another 2 minutes or so.
Brexit looking into the jungle on the right side here. It looks like the Ao Kuang is looking for this blue buff, but their timers are a little bit off.
A little bit unfortunate for them. Man, I had a point. Oh, I remember. My point was, now we're looking at the Merc. Merc is definitely best when you're going with an auto attack build. That's known by everybody. A lot of people have been debating about Ao Kuang's viability with the difference of the builds. I've seen people go burst. I've seen people go auto attack. What do you think personally is the best option?
I mean, historically, I've always been a fan of the ability-based Ao Kuang up until the changes they made with the interaction of Polynomicon and his 3. But now, since his 3 doesn't really proc Polynomicon, the one-shot potential is kind of lost on the character if you build
Sure.
him ability-based, which was really his specialty, was being able to go in 2-3, execute someone, or if they don't get to execute off, dash out or something. But now
Right.
he definitely needs
He's gonna Ao
those
Kuang
items.
blink on the mid lane, and Kronos hits the stun, peeling himself out. That's what I was talking about. Kronos' bead's still down for another 80 seconds in this case. So good try by the Ao Kuang. I think he may have even hit that. I think Kronos responding with that stun, obviously, really, really good self peel.
Bologna very deep into the backline
Oh
of
yeah.
Brexit. It looks like we have the Guardian and the Assassin on her at the moment. Mercury's kind of waiting in the wings, charging up his ult. Does go through. It seems like he doesn't hit anybody with that ultimate, but Cronus is able to hit the double stop time and get a kill for himself. And they may be turning this onto the Sobek as well. And there's the double
Yes,
kill.
they do confirm the kill. I would love, man, if only that fight had happened on the left side of the map, then they probably get gold free out of it. Looks like they're gonna push the tier 1 tower instead, which is
And
definitely good.
yeah, with the Mercury
In
Chronos,
mid
it should
here,
definitely kill.
Chiron's pretty weak. Neath isn't able to make it into mid in time to punish him for it, unfortunately. But I mean, ultimately that fight, Bellona's a little bit far up, but she does have the tankiness to back off. Unfortunately, Merc misses the ult there, but great rotation from the Kronos and the Athena to take that 4-on-2.
They are positioning around this Gold Fury here. I don't know if they have the health bars or the damage to really do this, especially when they don't know where the Chiron is right now. Chiron is about to step on a ward here.
Yeah, I think the play might have been Chiron was weak in the middle lane there. I think the play might have been as Brexit went for that tier 1 tower over in the right lane. That's when you should have gone for the Gold Fury, and if I think they may have missed their window of opportunity there.
Mm-hmm. We see a red buff invade coming out of Who is our coach?
Yeah, generally not
Were they able to get
contested.
that?
Yeah, they were able to
Yeah.
get that. Kronos picked it up. Looks like they may have they were there on time, and Brexit were maybe a little bit late on it. But they look like they may want to continue this chase. 4 players of Brexit pushing up towards the enemy red buff. Kronos may get
Already
caught out
past the
here.
red buff wall. This is dangerous territory here if we can get
For
Chronos on a
sure.
wraparound.
Ao Kuang blinks in, misses the 2, and
Neathol eaten by the Athena. Great job by the
yeah,
support there.
yeah,
I think
fantastic.
if that ult goes through, I think we definitely see Ao Kuang dive there. He has his ultimate available to him.
Yeah, I completely agree. So for anybody who missed it, Athena walks in front of the Neath, who is trying to ult the Chiron through the wall. Actually, Athena ulting towards the Kronos
Chronos
here.
ult gets cut off by the Poseidon here. Slightly off the mark with the crack in there. Unfortunate. Was that off the
Yeah,
mark or did Chronos beat that?
Kronos did beads that. He was able to get out of the center of it. But really close call for Kronos. As you can see, he has no mana, so he was just barely able to get that ultimate off and survive using the Athena ult 20% mitigation.
I definitely expect this Ao Kuang to look towards this Chronos if that was communicated throughout the team. That's both his beads and his ultimate down, both of which
For
on
sure.
100-second timers at this point in the game. So it definitely gives Ao Kuang an opportunity for an almost free kill here in the mid lane.
For sure, for sure. We see the Sobek go into Bancrofts here instead of the not Polynomicon, the Pythagorum's piece. That's real interesting to me.
Frog, I'm gonna need you to pass me a glass of milk. That's a little bit too spicy for me.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that one. I just don't think Sobek does enough damage. But I mean, we'll have to see the rest of his build. And I mean, if he's going Bancrofts, I really expect him to keep itemizing into damage, and we can see how that will affect him late game.
What are your thoughts on the support builds right now? We see the Geb rush into his Gauntlet. He's trying to give his team 15 protections of each type once he gets it stacked up. And the Athena has
Geb
rushed
hits an
into the
ult here.
Heartwork.
It looks like he's alone. He does shield himself, and wow.
Chiron falls. Good Mercury ult coming through the side here. Good angle on that.
Does hit the stun on the Aokwang.
There's a
and
Neath
ult
ult and a Poseidon whirlpool. It's a big whirlpool here. And they're gonna get engaged. That's a 2 for 2, I believe. 2 for 1. 2 for 1 in favor of.
So the Geb, the aggression there cost him a little bit. He was being aggressive on the left mid camps, and he just got caught out. He got Athena taunted into a little bit too much damage for him to handle. Luckily, because they were all grouped up to kill the Geb, Poseidon is able to hit a nice ultimate and is able to.
We have an objective going on here on the left side of the map. The Gold Fury has been pulled. Looks like they're passing it back and forth between.
Poseidon no ults. Does have still PO potential, and blue team are able to finish it off with the Chronos tanking.
That was scary with the Poseidon waiting there in the wings.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, if Poseidon hadn't used ult in that fight, it would have been even. I think Poseidon definitely steals it there if he has ultimate for sure.
Not only steals it, they were all grouped around the Gold Fury. That's a triple kill with a Kraken there.
Absolutely, 100%. As for the support builds, it's a little bit of a different style of play. I guess I think that Thebes is just a really good item right now, but it's a really good item once you get it stacked. In terms of it being built second right now, it can be really, really weak from behind because you spend so much time with health while the enemy support might have protections online already. Looks like Bellona's up here really being aggressive. Sobek plucks her back, but the Aokwang is just trying to secure his own blue buff. Athena ults to the Bellona.
We have a 3v2 over here in favor of the blue team. And Mercury's going to pick up another kill.
That's
this
what I'm
Mercury's sitting at level 13. 4 stacks on his rage already. Once he gets that last stack, he's going to have so much critical chance online. So the early tier 1 crit doesn't seem like he got punished too badly for it early game. And it's definitely paying off at this point in the game.
We might see a solo kill in the duo lane here. Chiron is in his ult. Man, the Neath gets the better of him there. While Chiron was pushed up to the tier 1 tower, no less. So it looks like Chiron has the pressure here. He just may have made a bit of a misstep there and gets soloed for it.
WhoIsOurCoach takes that time to grab the Pyromancer after their win in the right lane. Doing a really good job controlling that side of the map so far. The solo kill in the dual lane will give him some pressure on that side of the map as well. They've done a good job of putting this Chiron down. He's 1 and 2 right now, sitting at level 13. Their needs to stay even with him with a completely both sides have a completely stacked Transcendence.
Yeah, but for right now, in general, WhoIsOurCoach definitely ahead. Hits a taunt on the Poseidon here, but he gets shielded and he Aegises and is able to Kraken. Chronos ults out. Bellona ults in. We get Poseidon beads and Aegis in that fight. But
Bellona kind of all by herself here. If they turn and burn on the Bellona, they should be able to bring her down.
Oh my god, a Chiron cleanse for the Aokwang ult.
That was a beautiful play. Sobek is able to finally clean it up, but great individual effort there out of the crowd, doing everything he can, using his kit to the fullest potential to try to save his teammate there. Mercury does ult in. We have a strong shell out of Brexit, and looks like they're not going to be able to capitalize on it.
So many players at low health. Great Merc ult, even better shell. Unfortunately, just 2 players at low health, and those 2 players are both. Who's the other one? Oh, okay, Neath. I thought it was 2 tanks, but that's my mistake. Neath is the other one that ends up at low health. But generally, a very hectic fight there. The real key for me is that Poseidon gets his beads and his Aegis burned, so he can definitely be a target for the next 2 minutes.
Poseidon, I would say, is a little bit more apt to defend himself than the Chronos is. We were pointing out how the Chronos was pretty much easy pickings for the Aokwang. One of Merc's biggest things, at least at this point in the game, is being able to use his toss. Poseidon, I'm sorry, does have his cripple that he can place at his feet to try to prevent him from getting CC'd there. So he does
Right.
have a little bit in the way of self-peel to prevent him being picked off by this Merc.
Yeah, not as easy to pick off as Kronos, whose only form of defense is really that second life ultimate. What I was going to say before we got into that fight was that we were talking in picks and bans about how this really looks like a late game team, right? The Kronos, the Chiron, the Mercury, all generally known to be later game carries, but they're the ones ahead right now. Kronos 2 levels ahead in the mid lane, and Mercury a level ahead in the jungle. And so really like what I'm seeing from Who Is Our Coach.
Yeah, not only is Chronos 2 levels ahead, but he's itemized into the double rings already. So once you get the demonic Telekinesis ring, he's really easy when you start to see this character start swinging really, really hard with his auto attacks along with his abilities here.
Absolutely. Sobek misses a pluck there as Bellona dashes out. Poseidon hits a nice roll pull. They're all grouped up in mid. I mean, we're seeing a 4v4 in mid while the two junglers are farming. This is just asking for a fight. Athena dashes in, hits a 2-man taunt. Chiron hits the one. Neath at half health right
Sobek
now.
plugs the Chronos underneath the tower. Bellona
Neath gets a
luckily had
shield
aggro there.
Negus.
Oh,
Chiron getting weak in
unfortunate
the
Mercury
background.
ult there.
Absolutely, but Aokwang still gets pulled and deleted. But
Big
we have a
Kraken.
Geb ult into a Kraken. It looks like Bellona is going to get taken down, but Sobek gets taken down by the Chronos.
Just short
Wow.
on damage as a Poseidon. That's gotta feel bad for him, man. He definitely hits a big crack in the fight, just not quite enough damage to bring those health bars all the way down to 0.
Yeah, that was really surprising. After that, I mean, Geb hits a fantastic 3 or 4 man ult. Poseidon follows it up with the same 3 or 4 man ult, and they lose that fight. I mean, that's just just coming a
That's
little
just
bit
all the
short.
Chronos there. The Chronos just does so much damage in that fight. I want to take a look at player damage right now. Especially, yeah, this Chronos and Poseidon both up there right at the top of the charts. But
Closer than I thought it would be for sure. But yeah, I mean, Kronos in that fight, like we saw the Geb ult hit, we saw the Poseidon ult hit, and Kronos was the only member not caught in that, and he was able to kill Sobek, followed up with a kill on the Neath, and he almost exclusively wins that fight for them. And Merc is able to finish off his raid stacks, and it looks like he goes Haste and Katana. He's just stacking movement speed at this point. Might go into a Bloodforge next.
Chiron may be able to force this tower here. No, he's gonna choose the back play it safe.
Definitely a smart play where you don't know where their jungler is. Looks like Bellona might run into somebody here. Just dewarding the fire giant. Not much to see there. In terms of builds, Sobek goes third item Nemean Lion, which I disregarding the Bancrofts, right? Excluding the Bancrofts, I love the build, right? You have to go Nemean Lion against this comp. We have 4 auto attackers. So I would have loved to see Nemean Lion and then maybe a Shell. I'm sorry, Thorns from him. But that's not the direction he's choosing to go. Still, either Nemean Lion or
Bellona ult into the back line here has Poseidon down about half HP. The Athena ult will not be enough.
Looks like they get a little bit of peel, but they're still going to clean this up. Very nice Merkle to hit 2
Strong
there.
Merkle through the corridor there, is able to hit both of them.
So, in all honesty, a really good counter engagement from Brexit. It was a good engagement. Athena hits a 2-man taunt. They get some damage off with the little follow-up they have. But Geb hits the ultimate after. Sobek hits a pluck to peel. So it's a decent counter engagement. They just weren't able to finish off their escape, and they're going to get a 22-minute fire giant off that. Look to push the tier 2 tower.
They just didn't have numbers on that side of the map. You see Aokwang
Yep.
backing right now at left side mid camps. We see Neath pushing down to Phoenix in the left lane. They didn't have the people there to take that engagement.
Neath does get the tier 1 and tier 2 tower off of that fight, though. So that's definitely something to note. Not as much of a gold swing as we would have seen, but still a 10k gold lead, 11k close to in the lead right here.
We're going to need to see a big Poseidon ult out of this fight here if we want to see them be able to save it. And there it is. We get 1 kill onto the carry.
Just a 1-man Poseidon ult, and a little bit late in my eyes. They took so long to respond to that Phoenix defense. Athena's probably going to die here. Nothing really to look at there. Aokwang ults and then dives. Wow.
Meanwhile, while we're looking at this fight and right, we see Chronos push up the wave and just take the Phoenix in mid lane.
Wow.
I'd say about 3 or 4 auto attacks brought that down for the Chronos, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This Chronos with his build, he's already hit level 20, 6-0-5 at this point in the game. there's still sort of a fight going on here, but it looks more of a chase than anything. Merc actually ults in, but doesn't hit anything.
Merc ults the wall here.
Oh, he brings Geb into the fight, and Geb hits a solid ult, but I don't think Poseidon was in a position to ult there. He didn't even have it up. Yeah. So good self peel in the Geb, I guess. He does manage to get out, but an unfortunate Merc ult. I don't know if pulls, but that push was just. I'm not even sure. I'm not convinced that it was a good push by who is our coach. I think Brexit might have were just slow to react, and not only were they slow to react, they were indecisive, right? Because they're slow to act. They're debating between whether they want to go mid or left Phoenix, and because of that indecisiveness, they lose both. And I'm not a fan. I'm glad they were able to have a little bit of a punish for it. They killed the Chiron. I think they got 2 kills in that fight, Chiron and Athena. But at the end of the day, they lose 2 Phoenixes, and that's just so much more important.
Well, not only that is they only got Fire Giant off of 2 members there, so we still have Fire Giant on the Mercury, the Kronos, and the Bologna here. So they definitely have plenty of time to group up and siege this left side, as it looks like they're beginning to do. Bologna walks in the tower and starts taking it. With double ADC over here, basically with the Chiron and Kronos, I don't expect there to be any contention over these towers at least.
Yeah, they really have to make a big fight, I think, at this last Phoenix. Otherwise, I think there's gonna be a fight here. I think if the fight is won by who is our coach, I think that's just game.
Keep an eye out on this Ao Quang here. Ao Quang does have himself positioned in the backline of the enemy team. Looks like he's just gonna back to base here. I would have liked to try to at least get a pick
Look
onto
at the
this
Cronus
Kronos
is
in the
just
backline.
basic attacking the Phoenix, and nobody's even touching him. He's just being allowed to delete this Phoenix.
That is
And
one
sure
of the
enough, the
benefits of
Phoenix
being
goes
able to
in
have
there.
an ADC and a Kronos, is you don't really know which one to block the autos from.
Sure, yeah. Merc hits an ice ult, even though Geb hit an ice ult as well. I mean, they just don't have the damage, they don't have the gold, they don't have the items. Very nice blink from the Ao Quang. He blinks in, and you saw him almost take half of his health bar in the time that he blinked in. But because of the timing of the blink, he was able to get that kill. But
We do have
because
minions on the Titan though. Look at that Titan health dropping down almost down below
oh my
1,000 health.
goodness,
They have to clear these
yeah,
waves. It's gonna take the Titan. There they go.
yeah. I mean, they do manage to save it, but they spend so much time on that fight and left, and they still lose the Phoenix for it. And then because of these other 2 Phoenixes, they take so
Merc
much of
does
their
ult
health.
through. Looking for the end here. Looks like he's trying to go on the Titan all by himself. Oh, he's gonna be
Not
punished
gonna
for it.
get it. In fact, he only heals the Titan, so a little
Yeah,
bit of
I'm
a
never a fan of that play. I don't care what character you are. You have 3
yeah.
Phoenixes down. You're this far ahead. There's no reason to risk it. The only time I see that play is viable is if you're behind or it's a close game.
Yep, I completely agree. Or if you have a global ult and you can bring everybody, i.e.
Mm-hmm.
Horus and Horus and Giannis. But I mean, yeah, the Titan is even after that heal from the Merc, the Titan is at such low health that they really can kind of just run in here and get it. My main thing with that left Phoenix fight is that they just don't put any pressure on anybody. Like the Chiron was sitting there basic attacking the enemies. He wasn't even trying to hit the Phoenix, so I don't think you can make the argument there for trying to body block there. And all the while, Kronos is just he gets the Phoenix to 20%, 10% health before Geb steps in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I just unorganized is the word I would use for that defense.
Mid and right Phoenix do respawn here for red team. I don't expect them to stand very long though. We have blue team knocking down the fire giant as we speak. What's red team's play here? How do they
They
turn
have
this?
to fight outside. I know that they just got a fire giant, and I know that they're behind. But the fact is, if they take a fight at a Phoenix, or if they take a fight at their Titan, the enemy team is just going to like ignore them, run past them, kill the Titan. It's just a too low health. You have to go at them, take the fight to
Look at
them,
the
hit a kill.
positioning here. We have 2 members of red team on the left side of the map. You're right,
Yep,
Phoenix just respawned. You need to defend that.
yep,
They can't afford to
absolutely.
be pushing up pyro waves on the right side when your Phoenix is nowhere near responding.
And Gab hits a 2-man ult, but there's absolutely no follow up to here, and that's what I'm saying.
This is
We
gonna
have
be the Titan
4
here.
members alive, but there's no fight that's happening. The Titan is just gonna go down at that point. It was definitely a closer game at the beginning. I think we saw the snowball instead of the snowball from the Ao Quang. We saw it from the Kronos and the Mercury, 2 also sort of snowbally characters.
Definitely not a stomp. There were signs of life coming
For
out
sure.
of Brexit. It just seemed like as the game transitioned out of the early game and it moved towards the team fight stage, they just didn't have an answer for the Chronos.
Yeah,
I think a lot of their problem was target calling. Doesn't seem like they were able to focus one target. A lot of their damage was spread out over a lot of enemies as opposed to being able to take out the high priority targets.
Sobek definitely made use of that Bancroft. He comes in at 18,000 player damage at the end of the game, higher than his ADC. And honestly, in game two, if you're gonna have a solo laner that's playing that aggressive, I really would like to see him on an aggressive pick. You know, like an Osiris, maybe even a Camazotz or
A
something like that.
Kakol and a Bellona, something that can show
Sure.
pressure on the lane.
Sure, I really think that that could help him because he was ahead of the Bologna. He was the only member of their team that was either even or ahead for basically the entire game, right? Bologna takes over to level 19 there
Agreed.
only at the very end of the game. So I think that if they try and play through their solo laner a little bit more, maybe play a little bit more passive on the rest of the map, we could see a resurgence from Brexit here in game two.
Agreed.
Anyways, that is going to wrap it up for game one. We will be back shortly with game two picks and bans. The need coach is now on the right side of your screen, and we see I believe. And well, surprises me. They second picked him last time, but it was the first pick of their team, and then they first ban him here, so they clearly value the pick.
I do like the Poseidon ban coming out of Who's Our Coach. The Poseidon definitely stood out to me as one of the stronger points of Breck's comp last game. Multiple multi-man Krakens.
Yep.
He was behind for part of the game, which made his damage numbers not able to really do the job that he needed to. He wasn't quite getting those one shots, but he was contributing to a portion of the team fights.
Yep, we saw that fight in mid almost go their way. 2 or 3 players leaving with just slivers of a health bar. King Arthur makes it through picks and bans. He got banned by Who's Our Coach last game. They decided to let him through this game, and Jorm also was banned last game, gets let through this game. So it seems like they chose to ban the Poseidon and let the King Arthur through. Maybe this matchup has been played before. Jorm versus King Arthur, he feels comfortable on it.
Talk about a slobber knocker of a solo lane matchup. We got a one big snake and one big sword.
Yeah, I do think that matchup definitely favors Jorm, though. King Arthur really likes to solo his opponents and get far ahead, but without the ability to ult the Jormungandr, it is not as good of a. There's
He
not nearly as
can
much
still
solo.
ult with the smaller ult or the large
Sure.
ult. It's just we'll put him into the dazed state where he will take more damage.
There's
I also
also
do like the ability for him to use his 2 in yellow stance, which is also a knockup, to make the rest of his abilities do more damage.
yeah, I completely agree. I'm very surprised to see a Scylla Medusa. I really don't think those picks are too highly valued anywhere else in any league I've been watching. Granted, I watch a lot of SPL, so there's obviously a big jump from here to there. But those are two picks I haven't seen in a good while.
Well, I mean, isn't it obvious here? They already have one big snake on the team. They can't let him have the other 2 snakes.
Oh my goodness, you are completely. I didn't even think about that. That is the greatest synergy I've ever heard of. Here's the big thing. Here's the big thing. Last game we saw an Athena go into a team with no follow up, and now great pick. I was about to say it. They need to pick the Athena. Nope, they're gonna go with the
Nope, they're
Khepri.
gonna go Kefri.
Goodness, I was about to say I really would have liked to see them pick back up the Athena because I think Athena, when you have a Medusa to follow up and a Scylla to follow up, is just fantastic. They do ban it. That's the correct play. You cannot allow that team to have an Athena.
So right now they do have the Chiron ult available to them along with the Kefri ult, so they are able to get second chances in these team fights, which I
Sure.
do like with the Scylla around, because Scylla is definitely known to be able to one-shot characters. So Chiron not only having the chance to save himself, but Kefri also available to save one of the carries as well. I think it's a strong pick into the Scylla.
Yeah, I really expect them to go sort of a dive jungler with this Khepri. I think that is the best synergy that Khepri has at this point, is that he will he'll just kind of stand in the middle of the team fight and let his jungler, an Erlong Shen or a Ratatosker, really dive the backline and just give them
I
two
want to see it in
lives.
Wheelix. Jormungandr's knockup is one of the most easiest confirmed knockups in the game. Scylla's dash is considered a jump,
Yep, yep.
so the Wheelix here could be very, very strong.
I think we could see that. I've never been a big fan of a Wheelish. I think that while she does have a strong early game, especially when it comes down to the later stages of the game, like in my mind, she has a worse one-man Ares ultimate, and Ares ultimate already isn't that fantastic. But in terms of the early game, obviously, if you can get a fed jungler, whether it's a Wheelish or anybody else in the game, that could be big. So if a Wheelish is a comfort pick, I definitely like to see it here. Looks like we see a Kumba band. That was the other support that I was thinking of, because that also provides a ton of setup. Who do you think we're going to see in support here for Brexit? I'm trying to
I
think of
wouldn't
other
mind a
setup.
more aggressive support as well on their side. Like they definitely have the early pressure with the Medusa there. I wouldn't mind like on one of these aggressive warriors or supports, be it or an assassins, be it a Nezha, be it an Erlong. I feel like that could give him an opportunity to really snowball the lane.
You know what I'd like to see? I would like to see a Jing Chen. I think
Ooh.
that I think that they haven't picked their second carry. They went double ADC last game. We could definitely see a second ADC come out here. But not only that, there's not a ton of innate CC immunity on that team. Hunbats doesn't have any, Khepri doesn't have any, so the Jing Chen ult, and then being pushed into either a Medusa ult or a Scylla ult, I would love to see that come out. And it's aggressive, as you were talking about.
Does look like they're gonna opt for at least hovering the Ganesh here. Um, we do see Chiron and Jormungandr and Khepri, none of them jump, so the box is gonna do a good job at keeping them into a refined place, as long as they don't want to take that very strong slow and tick damage that the Ganesh will provide.
Ganesh definitely brings some setup, but I'm not a massive fan of him into the Chiron. I think if Chiron is positioning well, Ganesh dashes forward and he, like, let's say he grabs onto the Hun Bats. Chiron just places his one and immediately Hun Bats is free. It's the easiest. And we saw Chiron cleanse an Ao Kuang ult last game. That's hard to do, and this is easy to do. So I fully expect that interaction to be used.
I do like the Erlong pickup, which I would assume would be their jungler here.
Yep. I
He's
completely
really
agree.
good at diving the Chiron. His dash is going to be able to keep up with him, and then he has the pin to catch up with him. There's really no getting away with from an Erlong if you don't have a jump that'll get you over a wall.
And he's the other character in the game with the taunt that we were talking about with Athena. So he could be the setup that they need. We didn't mention the Who's Our Coach picks Hun Bats. Who did they have in jungle last game? Ao Kuang. Totally different character. Oh, no, they had the Mercury, right? That's my mistake. They had the Mercury last game. Totally different characters. Mercury loves to be a solo carry, loves to get in the back line and just take 1v1s. Hun Bats, not so much. You definitely have a little bit of potential there, but really you're just looking to throw out the Hun Bats ult and let your team sort of follow up.
I will say the way the Merc used his abilities in the last game, he did do a lot of setting up for their Chronos in the mid lane, so I don't expect him to struggle with this kind of playstyle where you play around your ultimate and using it to set up. I do like the Morrigan pickup as well. It gives them access to a second Hunbat's ultimate or another Jormungandr to dive the backline or a
So
King
many
Arthur
good
even. So
ultimates
many
here.
good options.
Hun Bats, you have Khepri with the second revive, you have
That's the
Scylla
hottest
with the
Morrigan play
resettable
ever.
ult.
If you turn into a Khepri and revive your teammate, you deserve like all of the ping
Yeah.
touches that you want.
I remember I've seen a play where the Khepri gets caught out, he ults himself, he dies again because they still have cooldowns, and then Morrigan ults into the Khepri and revives the Khepri a second time.
That's crazy.
And it was worth nothing. They still won the fight because you end up using two ultimates, but it was hilarious to watch. Anyways, that is it for the picks and bans. We're going to jump into the game 2 right now. Going to look at the early. So now we have Brexit on the left side of your. And welcome back. We've switched the spectator UI, so now we have Brexit on the left side of your screen. We have WhoIsOurCoach on the right side of your screen as the red team. Taking a look at the early builds here, I don't see anything too out of the ordinary. The tier 2 book start from Morrigan is not what I'm a big fan of. I'm a much bigger fan of going Mage's Blessing and tier 1 book just for the safety. Morrigan doesn't have a lot of escape potential in the early game.
Similarly as well, I prefer Mage Blessing Tier 1 pen on her personally, just because I feel like getting that early pen is going to be super important for her. But
Yeah.
I do think Mage's Blessing benefits her a lot, not only with her short cooldowns, being able to really abuse the passive of Mage's Blessing, but also like that extra MP5 is going to be really good for her as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. We see Stilla have the same start. Yeah, nothing too interesting
Scylla does
going on in the
start with a
builds.
ward here as opposed to a mana pot, so it's
Oh,
going to be
you're
interesting
right.
to see if she's able to maintain her presence in the lane without wasting all of her mana.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting. We see the support start in dual lane once again. This is the first, and this is I was watching some NA games casting on Sunday, and every single set I watched, the solos started, or the support started in the solo lane. So this may be the difference between NA and EU here in the SLL. Granted, only one EU game, but we're seeing both teams do it.
So far, 100%.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. So far, 100%. We're seeing Khepri and Chiron out clear a little bit, which actually surprises me. Like, I know that Khepri has good clear, but Medusa hits the entire wave after the damage boost from Ganesh, so it does surprise me that clear isn't closer, right?
I
feel
think a lot of that was the Ganesha did take a lot of poke there early. Ganesha really down on pots here. Did he start with upgraded shell? He did. So he only has
Oh,
one
wow.
health and two multi pots available to him right now.
Yeah, so instead of going tier 1 boots, we see the upgraded shell. I'm never a fan of early upgraded shell. I feel like late game, it can, late game when the Hunter basics are doing a lot more, it's much better. Ganesh actually taking a lot of poke here. If he hits level 2, he goes for the dash.
Yeah, he has no hail 3 gen here. He's dead to the tick. That's first blood for Khepri. Is the Medusa going to be able to pay off, though? No, we have a shell out of... A lot of shell picked up here. I've always been a big fan of tier 2 sprint, personally.
Oh, looks like the Erlong is coming over. Yep, they go on the Medusa.
Oh, Medusa
Erlang
is able
gets
to get
here.
the kill.
Yeah.
Erlong holds his dash for a little longer. I would have liked to see him wait to blink until he had the cooldown up from his dash. But I feel like if he does that, he has an easy double there.
For sure. Yeah, no, I completely agree. It was a good blink from the... I think the Erlang may have been forced into the blink, though, just because Medusa was about to die, right? We saw him save her from the Khepri, and Chiron hits that last auto attack, but there was potential for him to save her, for sure. But yeah, in terms of relics, I'm a bigger fan of sprint. I'm a bigger fan of shell over sprint. I almost always find myself going shell just because I think I'm a little bit more of a passive player. So I think it can definitely depend on the play style. But in terms of upgraded relics, if you're going to upgrade a relic early game, it has to be sprint in my mind. The damage you're blocking from 2 absorbed basics this early in the game is not going to be significant.
The only time I see upgraded shell early being very viable is against characters with like procs, such as like either an Arachne or a Bakasura, being able to block those other attacks. That
You know who the big one is? The big one is Pele, because it absorbs her ultimate. That's the only time that I honestly go upgraded shell early. Looks like their purple buff is back up here.
We've seen Scylla force back to base really early here. She grabs her tier 2 boots and 1 mana pot. She still has the 1 ward.
Ganesh really poked out in the duel lane here.
Ganesh may fall here again.
Actually. Yeah, he's forced into the upgraded shell, which he didn't use last time when he died, might I note. He died with his upgraded shell up. And he uses it this time, and he's still, unfortunately...
There's going to be another purple buff invade here in favor of Who's Our Coach.
Yeah, really, really interesting dual lane pressure. I really didn't expect them to win this hard. Chiron isn't really known for his early pressure, and Medusa is.
But I'll tell you what, once Chiron gets a couple levels on him, and he does slap really, really hard in the 1v1s.
Yep. And Chiron, right here, Chiron with the Ganesh, I was talking about it earlier. He's just basically immune to that dash. But we'll see how long the supports end up staying here in the duel lane. I actually expect Khepri to... I was gonna say I expect Khepri to rotate towards mid here, but it might be a little bit too early for what they've been practicing. We saw the Scylla get pushed back early. I think that might have been because she didn't go any mana pots.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of touching on there. It's definitely important as a mid laner. Personally, when I play mid, I always get 1 health, 2 mana pots. Just I feel like the mana is so important to be able to use your mana to get the early pressure.
Yeah, I do the same exact thing. Looks like Morgan stayed in lane quite a while there, up into level 6, just so she could start book.
Full
And
book of thought.
she actually manages to get tier 1 boots there, so that's 1800 gold. So she could have gotten boots there, and she's chosen to go this full book of Thoth, which is a little bit more power, a little bit less mobility, but she does have the movement speed on her 3. But we have a very aggressive jungler in Shen is what I was going to say, and she's chosen to go the non-mobility option here. I'd like him to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I was going to say that's quite the opposite of what I expected between the two mid laners, because normally when you make a decision like that, if you're getting boots early, you want to fight.
Morgan's able to turn around. Hunbats blinks in, but misses the Hunbats ult.
Double
Morgan
miss
changes on
Hunbats
Hunbats.
ult.
Yeah. Oh, is Scylla going to be able to turn this around?
Aw,
No, the Chiron makes the
Chiron ult.
rotation and does hit the ultimate on. That was crazy. We see a Hunbats blink through the red buff and miss the Hunbats ult in the Erlang, right? And then Morgan turns into Hunbats with her ult and misses the Hunbats ult in the Scylla. That's mind-blowing that they still managed to get that kill. Wow.
A lot of
Morgan
ultimates invested there.
Yep.
Definitely could be a time, once this dual lane hits level 5, could be a good time for them to look for a fight here, knowing Chiron doesn't have his ultimate ability ready.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully that's being communicated. The question is whether I'm not sure if they're gonna hit level 5 off of this wave or not.
Medusa will.
Okay, Medusa does. She dashes in, gets grabbed by the
Khepri
Khepri
instantly.
Khepri is able to turn around. That's what I was talking about, man. Khepri gets cleansed from the Chiron one and is able to turn around to avoid the Medusa stun. To be honest with you, I'm not even sure that they get that kill if they hit the Medusa stun, but they definitely have a better chance at it.
This will allow them to get their own purple buff, which I believe is going to be the first time in this game they're able to get it.
Yep, third purple buff.
So that's a win. We take wins where we can get them here.
Absolutely. It's interesting to me, the Chiron has chosen to rush into the Transcendence early as opposed to the Medusa starting the boots. Who do you think has the advantage here? Obviously Chiron has the level lead, but
I mean, well, Chiron is one of those characters where you don't need to hit multiple auto attacks to be able to trade effectively, because he has his 2, which will lock onto you if you hit strong ability. So that's one of those characters I feel like, even though Boots is normally considered the aggressive route, getting transverse on Chiron really converts into a lot of effective damage for him. So I feel like Chiron has the out trade potential between the two right now.
Oh my goodness, we have 3 Ward Chalices on the side of Who Is Our Coach. That blows my mind. We do not see a lot of Ward Chalice up at the higher levels of play. We talked about it last game. The amount of words coming out from these players is astounding. Might be the word for it.
I'm a strong believer in the idea that wards win games.
We see a
I
Hun
don't believe
in the
that
mid lane.
ward
They're
chalice
not
wins
able
games.
to get anything on the Scylla. Looks like they hit the Hun Bat's ult in the Erlang Shen. He gets forced into the jungle, but the Scylla is able to make an escape there, and that's Hun Bat's blink once again.
I will say, back what I was talking about with the ward chalices.
Right.
Wards are definitely important in the early game, but I feel like that 400 gold this early in the game, especially on the roles that we have them on, the support I don't mind. I feel like it's a strong pickup in support. If you have that extra gold at this point in the game, you're not really even going to get a tier 1 item. But for your hunter and your mid laner to be picking up this early in the game, I feel like that really stunts their builds.
Especially with Morgan starting off with such an expensive item in Book of Thoth. And
Chiron a little bit
same with
out of position here. They're not going to scissor on him. He's going to fall back to his team. They're pulling the Gold Fury here.
They're playing a Gold Fury as Erlang decides to gank over in the right lane, and as soon as they see him over there, they decide to pull this.
Well, not only that, the Yorm's able to get the solo kill. We have Hunbats over there. Erlang may fall as well. We got to keep an eye on both sides of the map here. We have a Gold Fury going on. We have a possible tower dive situation here and right.
Looks like they dropped the Gold Fury a little bit too early in the game for them to be looking at it. It's unfortunate we missed that solo fight because it looks like the Erlang ganks, but the Jorm is able to 1v2 and get the kill on King Arthur.
I do believe Arthur was very low at the start of it when the Erlang showed up.
Okay.
It was basically already a kill.
That may have. So it looks like Jorm, even maybe before that solo kill, was winning this lane matchup. And this is the matchup I was talking about. These were the first 2 picks in the game, and Jorm is one of the better counter picks in Arthur, in my opinion. You can't knock him up with the golden 2. You can't hit him with the bigger ult.
I also want to point out King Arthur picks up the Glad Shield first, which provides him with physical protections. Not able
That
to
was
help him at all in this matchup outside of the minimal healing that he does get.
precisely. That was my next point, is that King Arthur needs to build Glad Shield first item, and Jorm is a magical character, you know? So, Jorm actually losing the trade there. We were just watching a brawl in the soul lane, and Jorm goes down to a really, really low amount of health because King Arthur comes back from his death with full boots. But now they're very much on an even playing field. Interesting to see the Jade Emperor's crown out of the
Oh, I was expecting a dynasty out of that.
yeah, that's really interesting to me. I guess it'll fare okay as we move. I guess it does get rid of the Erlang's aggression a little bit. Jorm dodging out with his look at that. He gets away from the gank with his invisibility. Very impressive.
I'm a sneaky snake.
Ganesh taking a little bit of aggressive pathing over in the dual lane, but nothing to really be concerned about.
We have pings coming out in mid.
Yeah. I feel like a fight could break out here at any second in any lane. Look, left lane, 2 ults used. Medusa hits a freeze and Ganesh hits an ult, but they're at the lower amount of health. They've lost this trade.
Chiron dashing in here.
Does he hit
Chiron
the 2 to
does have
close it
ultimate
up?
available here.
Oh, man.
And gets the double kill with the ult.
That
Now is where I look for the Gold Fury to be called here.
absolutely.
You do have a Scylla you have to deal with, which does have a lot of damage, more burst confirmed than anybody on Who's Our Coach does have. But you also have a Morrigan that can turn into that Scylla with 2 levels higher.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like Erlang dashes in here, misses his ultimate, and he's gonna get 3-man collapsed on.
Hunbat's
Yeah.
ult, Capriol, and they are able to get the pick.
Oh,
Oh,
almost.
Scylla ult just not quite enough damage here.
Yeah, solid shell from the Capri in case there was a crush follow up. Morgan
Oh, we're
ults
gonna
into
see
the
another
Hunbats.
Hunbat's ult, and there's Scylla beats. Oh, does Morgan walk in the tower here? Oh, I thought she walked in the tower there.
Yeah, I thought for sure she was gonna die there. She ended up at a very low amount of health, but unfortunately, just no more cooldowns. Hunbats jumps in, misses the jump, is not able to hit the 2 because Scylla dashes away. Unfortunate tower die, but they do manage to get the tier 1 tower, which
Are they
is
gonna
just,
fall back to Gold Fury here with these little health bars, or are they just gonna
I don't
back it
think
up?
so. I think they need to back off here for sure. Which if gosh, I can't remember the team names. If Brexit is paying attention, they might be able to start it here, but I guess they do have vision on it, so not really much of an option. Look at these level disparities. I mean, this is similar to what we were seeing last game, but to a much, much higher extent. Last game, we were seeing these same level disparities, 18 minutes into the game, and now we're 12 minutes into the game. We see a 3-level lead in support, just moved down to 2, but generally 2.5 level lead in support, 3-level lead in the dual lane on the ADCs, and a 2-level lead in the soul lane. So this is not looking good for Brexit.
Yeah, look at the stack differential too in between the Book of Thoughts and the mid lane. Like Morgan already has her
Wow.
Book of Thought completely finished, and I believe that says 10 stacks, 20 stacks.
Yeah, I
Can't
think it
quite
says
see the
20
number.
stacks. And that's the issue. Scylla was forced back in the early game because she was forced to back very early, and she went tier 2 boots, and then she finished off her boots before she was able to finish off that tier 2 book. And Morgan obviously went tier 2 book and finished her book very first item in the game. The question is whether or not she's going to be able to take advantage of this. Morgan is one of the only characters in the game that builds Bumba's Mask successfully, in my mind. Really one of the only characters in the game that does it. I'm really, really not a fan of seeing it 3rd item because
I would agree.
I like it 4th item. I like it 5th item the best out of everything. But I really, really think at this stage you need pen. Every mid laner in the game right now is building pen 3rd item. So to not have it here and to not have the pen boots, I want to say it's a bad decision, but we see Ganesh going into this Gauntlet of Thebes from behind, which I was discussing last game. Not a fan of that at all. From behind, it takes you longer to stack up, and you see even when he finishes this Gauntlet of Thebes, he's going to be so far behind in protections because the enemy support's going to have a bunch of magical and a bunch of physical prots in those 2 auras. Looks like he's going to go Heartward here.
We have a fight erupting here around mid. Ganesha already brought down to 1% HP. Big Medusa ult here.
Wow.
Oh, Chiron able to
Khepri
revive
ult.
himself. I do believe that Scylla ult killed him, and he revived himself with the kill off of his ultimate. He gets revived again with the Khepri ult, but he still will fall.
That's exactly what we were going to talk about. But
Mhm.
Hunbat's ults in. He's able to hit a 3-man Hunbat's ult, but
Watch the
isn't able to do
Morgan
enough
here. Watch the
damage.
Morgan. She needs to be very careful. She gets spotted out. One ability will kill her.
Yeah, looks like
Oh,
tries to
Medusa's onto
Juku.
her. Scylla's onto her.
Oh no, she goes all the way around. Oh,
There
she
she
walks
goes.
right into the Scylla, unfortunately. Scylla also sticking around with a relatively low amount of health. We're going to see the Erlang versus Hunbat's duel up top. Scylla comes in. Oh, she had a chance to pop the crush there when he landed from the jump, but she doesn't take advantage of it. Medusa now coming in. Misses the dash, missing a lot of basic attacks here. Don't tell me they're gonna drop this kill. Okay, Scylla hits the crush over the wall. That took a little longer than I think it should have.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately they do win the fight. Looks like they're gonna try and go for the gold free here. Keep in mind, Khepri knows this is happening. Who is our coach knows this is happening. They do have vision on it.
But
Chiron's coming
how are
in.
they gonna confirm the Scylla here?
It depends. Chiron has his one. Red team,
They
dude,
got it.
take it away.
What?
Oh my goodness.
Oh no, that's a heartbreaker.
That's a heartbreaker. Ganesh, I think, just stays in the gold free too long, takes a little bit too much damage from it, and Kepri's able to secure the kill with the root. It's possible that Khepri was trying to leash it to Medusa, right? Or just like
Uh-huh.
leave it all together, and Khepri root forces him to stay in the pit there.
Scylla just a little bit slow on the crush, a little bit early rather on the crush.
Right.
And then Khyber's able to pluck away the damage. The Medusa gets CC and she's not able to hit the Gold Fury,
Oh my
and just
god!
gives the
And
confirmed
Erlang
free to Chiron.
steals the red buff with a pin. More, you didn't see it. Morgan did all the damage to the red buff, and Erlang just throws a pin out and takes it away. That's okay. Wait, I thought that was on the other side, but Erlang secures it, not steals. Morgan was trying to steal. That's my mistake. So it's definitely good for them. That's a small win. We were talking about we like wins. We like
Mm-hmm.
wins, no matter how small. Back to the solo lane matchup. This Jorm is winning a lot harder than I was expecting him to. In all
We do
honesty.
see both teams like rotating over to this side of the
Oh
map. It looks
yeah,
like we have a fight brewing here. Erling
3-man
dashes
Jorm.
in.
Jorm hits the
Hey,
ult
Yorm's
early.
gone.
Yeah, and that's all it takes, man. The safety of a Jormungandr is unmatched. Yeah, I mean it really is. There's no other character that can be out that fast. Even the ultimates like Thanatos and Thor don't get up into the air that fast. You know, so very very unique there from that character. Looks like they're starting the Pyromancer here. Doesn't look like they're going to stay on it though. I think that's a smart choice.
Just maybe looking for a little bit more of a fight there. A lot of stuff was expended trying to get the Jormungandr.
We have a
We do see a
pause
pause
coming
coming
out.
out.
Not sure how long it's going to last. While game is paused though, we can definitely take a look at the builds. Looks like the Morgan does finish off the Boomba's mask and she's going in a next item pen, so it doesn't look like she's going to get punished for that. We have a Divine here from Scylla, which surprises me. I think I would have preferred to see a Spear of Desolation.
Yeah, I don't see any healing at all on right side out of any of them outside of Chiron passive.
Yeah,
Nobody has
you're
lifesteal.
completely
Nobody
right.
has.
They're worried about the Morgan transforming into Medusa, getting those Devos heals.
That's what it
That's
is.
got to be it. That's got to be it. And you know what the crazy thing is? Morgan is horrible at applying divine.
Mm-hmm.
She's bad at it. She doesn't build the item. And so when the enemy mage builds it for her, it's almost like you're buffing the Morgan's ability to,
Yeah.
apply anti-heal in fights, which is going to be fantastic for the King Arthur if he ends up making a real impact in these fights later game.
We have Morgan looking over towards solo lane right now.
Yep, she's invisible. King Arthur playing very, very passive after he got solo killed the first time. He's been 2 levels down from that pretty much ever since.
King
And
Arthur does go first item Bulwark of Hope here. What are your thoughts on that?
I've never been a fan of Oracle. Looks like they're gonna gank the Yorm, and he has ult up again. That you just can't gank Yorm at this stage. He's gonna ult back in and do even more damage. Anyways, sorry. Bulwark of Hope. I'm never a fan of it. I hate the item. It happens to have the only thing going for it. It has the most effective health of any of the magical defense items, right? Because of that health shield, it just plain and simple has the most health. That's great and all. But there's always a better item for the situation. In this particular situation, would have much preferred him to see Genji's guard for the cooldown.
Or
Oni
even an
Hunter's guard
Oni's here.
because he's in the back.
Yeah.
Oni Hunter's guard because he's in the back line. They're just, I mean, I would have preferred Genji's. I'm a little bit more of a fan of cooldown on King Arthur. But that's just me personally. But the point being is he could go any other magical defense item. He could even go a Pestilence, and I would be a bigger fan of it than Bulwark. Plain and simple. They don't have any healing, and I would be a bigger fan of Pestilence.
Paz has ended here, so we get back to the action. Chiron seems, I didn't ever notice when they took this tier 1 tower over in dual lane, but
Yeah, I guess it's possible that they may have taken it after the Gold Fairy fight because Chiron had just come back. He was full health at that point. We might see them go on the Chiron here, but he's able to dash away. Scylla's going to steal some farm from the dual lane. We still see the level leads here, but it's not as bad. We had 3 level leads everywhere, and now we have 2 level leads everywhere. So it could be worse, I guess. And we didn't even touch on this earlier in the game, but as soon as they managed to get the gold for it, we see another two Oracle chalices out of Brexit, and another one from the mid laner, putting her build even farther behind. Like, she's already so much gold behind.
Scylla, that's rough because Scylla just wants to race to the late game. She doesn't. If a perfect Scylla game is when you're 0-0 at 20 minutes and you have a full, fully stacked everything.
No, I couldn't agree more. I'm just not. I get that words are important and everything. I'm not a big fan of that decision. I mean, you can see she's only 3 items in at 20 minutes into the game.
Especially in a game where you see your opponent has 3 Oracle Chalices.
Right.
The effectiveness of a regular ward out of the mid lane is already lower than most other roles. So being able to get sentry wards as a mid laner is way more value than a regular ward would be at any point in the game.
Especially since they're placing regular wards, right?
What do we have going on right here? My game is frozen. Is my game frozen for you guys?
My game is not frozen. I don't think spectators is.
I am on stasis mode. Okay. Okay, I'm on stasis mode at 2030.
No worries. Looks like there's a fight going on Gold Fury. Oh, am I supposed to pause? That's my mistake. To it as look. Sorry about that, folks. We had some technical difficulties. We're right back into it as looks like WhoIsOurCoach is posturing at the Gold Fury.
Erlong hits the pin on the Khepri here. Khepri definitely doing his best job as Zanu. We have Hunbat's ult coming out in the corridor. Erlong able to dash away, so that throws a crush over the wall. Blue team retreats underneath their tier 2 tower. Red team continues to push. It looks like they want to get kills here. There's the second Hunbat's ult, able to force the the Ganesh back into the team fight. There's the pick they want, and they're gonna fall back to the Gold Fury.
They really do. That was, I mean, they just ran at them. They run at them into the red buff. They force them into the tier 2 tower, and they managed.
Oh, they're calling Fire Giant here. Look at the pings coming out of the map.
Oh yeah.
Brexit is calling Are they calling Fire or Primal here?
I think Pyro.
I would have liked to see him pull Big Fire there.
I think
at least pull it if you're gonna make an aggressive play like that. Like, why not go for it? It does look like Red Team knows what's going on here, and they're on their way over here.
Jeez, man, they steal it again.
And they steal it again. Has Blue Team gotten an objective this game?
Nope.
Big Jormungandr ult knocks up 3, misses the second one, and falls back to the safety of this team.
Yeah, they have not. They got the Gold Fury stolen out from under them. They got the Pyro stolen out from under them. That is a fail on the Scylla, I believe, both times. I think on the Gold Fury, you could have put blame on the Ganesh a little bit, but Scylla had an early crush on the Gold Fury, and she had a late ultimate right there on the Pyromancer. Allows a Morrigan with just her 2 to be able to steal that.
Chiron's able to snag that tier 2 tower on the left side, a little bit of extra gold going in the pockets. Looking right now, we're almost at the point of a 10k gold lead. We are at a 10k gold lead, a little over, almost 11k right now.
Yeah, wow. That doesn't. I mean, that surprises me with how game 1 went, but it doesn't surprise me with how this game has been going so far. I mean, even if they manage to get that Pyromancer, even if that call goes perfectly, we're still seeing an 8k gold lead at the minimum here. And so, I mean, I think who is our coach, just playing the better game. One thing that's massive for me is the amount of prot difference. Okay, actually, he's finished. Erlang may get caught out here. Yeah,
Yeah, there's
unnecessary
the
Hun
Hunbats
Bats
ult.
ult. Unnecessary in my opinion, but Erlang
Unnecessary
gets caught
Morgan
out
ult.
here.
We had double Hunbats here. There's the
Oh
other Hunbats
yeah,
ult. That one's a little bit more fruitful though.
that was really good. Morgan Hun Bats ult into a perfect
Oh,
Chiron
this
ult.
collapse is gonna be crazy.
Yeah,
Oh, big
lot
Medusa ult actually. Blue team
lot
taking
of
the
damage.
best out of a bad situation here. Medusa able to pick up a kill on the Morgan. They may be able to turn this fight.
Yeah, looks like Kepri actually missed the ult and hit the Jorm instead of the Morgan there, so the Morgan ended up falling. And Chiron able to win the 1v1 duel in the backline against the Medusa. Let's see if King Arthur's able to pick up the kill here.
Ganesha down to 1 health. That should be it from the Hunbats. And now they just
Yeah,
have the King Arthur to deal with. They have to be careful. Chiron is low at the HP bar, so if he's able to
yep.
trade out here, it's definitely worth for him.
That was a little bit dangerous. Those are the benefits of King Arthur with Glad Shield. Every single ability you use, you're getting 10% of your maximum health pack. But they do manage to focus him properly and take him down, and that should be a fire giant, barring an
Erlong
insane
is
Erlong
making a
Shen
beeline
steal.
over there. I think the best he can do here is throw a pin and dash away. Like,
He
there's no way he
decides to
goes in
go
here,
in
but he
on
dashes
the
in.
Chiron immediately. Chiron Aegis, he should just hit the pin on the Chiron here. Oh
And
my
that's gonna be.
goodness, he gets taken out.
Oh,
Scylla
big
comes
Scylla
in.
ult there. Looking for the Hunbats here.
She's
Oh,
trying to wait on the fire. They stop DPSing it properly. She should throw a crush out, get
good
the kill.
idea. Hits the Kepri. They can no longer do the fire giant.
Oh my
Scylla
goodness,
picks
she
up a kill
manages to
there.
kill Hun Bats. I think he stepped in a fire giant pool. It was just at too low health.
Oh, Scylla's upset she doesn't have her crush up for that there. I think
But
she had
no,
a
no,
chance to kill the Morgan.
Scylla makes the play. They both
Yeah.
make the play, frankly. The goal was to stop the fire giant instead of stealing it. That was a very clear call. And I'm a big fan of that call. Stopping it over stealing it just to stem the bleeding a little bit. Big fan of
I
that
agree.
call. But Erlong dashes in. He's unable to get the kill on the Chiron, which surprises me. It may have been a fantastic CC chain, but it looks like he dashed into the Chiron and then he just didn't use his pin to finish off the kill. I could have been wrong. He could have used. I could have just missed it. But it looks like they do get Chiron Aegis there. But most importantly, Scylla comes in off spawn and she's able to hit an ult and then hit a second, get the reset and hit an ult and kill. Actually, Kepri doesn't fall. I think she choked the crush a little bit because Jormund under knocked her up. But they stop the fire giant there. They get 2 kills. I mean, they go 2 for 2, but they stop the fire while they're behind. It's definitely a
Erlong
win.
dashing in again, gets caught out by Kepri's. What was
Yorm
that?
gets taunted back in, but just too tanky at this point. His
Oh,
ult
Yorm
just
sitting on
comes
top of
up.
the Ganesha
Man,
ult. He almost ticked away there.
almost
Big
dies.
Hunbat ult in the middle, hits
Big
5
Hunbat.
people.
Yeah, that's actually Morgan as the Hunbat's ultimate, and she gets Kepri ulted to safety. Very, very good collapse. I mean, it was great by everybody, right? Morgan hits a 3-man Hunbat, so we have a pause here coming out, and please excuse that. But Morgan comes in, hits a 3-man Hunbat, so which is fantastic. But then Blue team managed to regroup, turn around, and focus down the Morgan before she's able to deal enough damage to capitalize off of that Hunbat ult. And then a third great play from the Kepri to save the diving Morgan. I think that's more communication than anything.
Tell you, I guarantee you that Jormungandr got scared for a second when he realized he was stuck channeling his ultimate right on top of the cross beam of that Ganesha ult. He took down to a well under 10% HP.
Tell me about it. I think because the Jormungandr used his ultimate at the fire giant fight right there to knock the Scylla up. I think his ultimate may have just come off of cooldown in order to escape that. Looks like the Hunbat here is DC'd at the moment, so may have a little bit of a long pause.
He was the one who paused, so he's probably experiencing some lag, so he's probably restarting.
You're correct. You're correct. Taking a look at the builds again, as we do when we're paused. Interesting to see the Polynomicon from the Scylla. I don't hate it. I mean, it's very common on Scyllas, especially when you're going Book of Thoth. It has mana, so it gives you more power than normal. And Scylla's combo allows you to hit those auto attacks. You 1 auto, 2 auto. It's very, very conducive to her style of play. But with the amount of times, with the amount of not the amount of times, but the positioning the Scylla has had this game mostly in the back line. not really
Yeah, she's definitely
defending
throwing her
herself.
abilities like over walls and around corners. She
Right,
doesn't have like a
exactly.
strong enough front line to be able to really make use of the poly.
Exactly. And I was going to talk about the difference between the supports right now. What I was going to mention before the fight at the Fire Giant was the prot difference between the Ganesh and the Khepri that existed for so long. It doesn't exist now really because 60 prots of each prot from Gauntlet of Thebes certainly is nothing to shake a stick at. But it existed before he had Gauntlet of Thebes stacked. For the longest time, Khepri had both of these auras here, and he even got Winged Blade before he finished stacking Gauntlet of Thebes. And that entire time, I think Ganesh he has 7 deaths. You know, more than half of those were while he was just susceptible. All he had was health, struggling with prods. That's why you can't build Gauntlet of Thebes from being that far behind. It takes you so long to get to a point in the game where you're going to be tanky, and we see Ganesh get punished for that.
Checking out the Erlong right here. He's opted to go into the Ancile here.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. Game on pause. We can continue talking about it though. I think it's okay against Jorm. Potentially, you get the 1 and then he's not able to use the 2. Same with Morgan. If she 1s first, she's not able to use the 2 immediately after. But Khepri with the range 2, with the range 3, is able to easily pop that out. I think that if the players on Who Is Our Coach are paying attention to that, it really shouldn't make a huge impact.
Interesting to see the Morgan back to base right here with the spawning of the Oni Fury. I feel like out of the 3 Furies that do spawn, this is the most important one to get. So I like to see the teams being able to position to get it as soon as this comes back into play here. But
I think in general you're absolutely right. But it looks like they decided to go for Pyromancer instead. They had a completely free Gold Fury there. They really did. I'm not sure why that was the call that was made.
Well, now they have 4 grouping around Pyromancer waiting for it to spawn.
No, they got it.
Oh, you're ahead of me.
Am I way ahead?
Yeah, you're like 3 or 4 seconds ahead of me.
Okay, couple
They
seconds.
just got it right now.
All right, no big deal. Why don't we pause for a second?
Okay. All right, where are you at?
Over the goal again, but we might be in and out with some short. Fortunately, having some technical difficulties with stasis mode in spectator. Hopefully that doesn't happen again, but we might be in and out with some short breaks here and there. We were just talking about how it was interesting how they chose to do the Pyromancer over the Gold Fury, but perhaps they're just trying to posture on this side of the map so that they can take a fight and get the Fire Giant.
Yeah, Oni Fury definitely really strong after you have Fire Giant. It allows you to group up and push one lane, while they still have to deal with the empowered minions in both of the other lanes that you're not pushing.
Absolutely. Jorm's getting some poke off here. A lot of poke being used, but it looks like Ganesh gets pulled and Erlong blinks
a blink in here from the Erlong Shen. Khepri a little bit caught out here, sitting at about a half health. We have a big Hunbat's ult here. We also have Jormungand on the side, knocking up 2 people both times. Where's he going to land on the third one? Goes back to the main center of the fight, where we're looking to bring down the Erlong Shen.
Erlong a little bit out of position, does get caught out there. Looks like he might have been trying to dive the back line and just got caught alone back there when the rest of his team stopped fighting their front line. Good poke from the Scylla, and I think that they may be able to continue this fight. Scylla's at half health, or I'm sorry, Scylla's at full health. Morgan is at half health. So I honestly, I wish I had seen them pressure that with both carries above half health, and King Arthur even teleported back in.
Red team entirely backed off outside of Jormungandr. Jormungandr just hanging around this Fire Giant, making sure blue team don't decide to get cheeky and pull it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I wish I would have seen Who Is Our Coach take that fight. Or I'm sorry, I wish I would have seen Brexit take that fight. Looks like they might be trying to now. Medusa pushing up, takes a little bit of poke from the Chiron there. Unnecessary. She definitely shouldn't be standing in the front there. So much time has passed here, and Ganesh still hasn't backed. I think if they're not going to take a fight, Ganesh definitely should have backed. Oh, good Medusa,
big Medusa ult there.
Ganesh hits the ult as well.
Looking for a target. Looks like she's going to get off of this. Oh,
Just hits. Oh, Jorm able to get out so many low health bars there. Medusa hits a sick ult. Ganesh traps them in the box, and then King Arthur ults him up into the air, and then Scylla hits the ultimate at the end there on the Khepri, dropping from the air, but just not enough damage to finish off that kill. But a
They do get
lot
a
of
tier 1
ultimates
tower
used.
for their effort here, and they do gain the aggressive positioning on the Fire Giant objective.
Looks like Erlong on the Khepri here, or on the Chiron, excuse me, and he's able to get the kill, and he gets the heal off and 2 shells from his team, and is able to survive. Did you see that health increase? Massive.
Yeah. Hunbat's a little bit questionable there.
Yeah, blinks over the
Oh, that
wall, only
was
managed to hit
Morgan.
one. Oh no, but the
There's the real
actual
Hunbats.
Hunbat
That's
Salt.
a real Hunbat ult.
That's the good Hunbat Salt, yes sir. Able to get 1 there. Looks like they are gonna finish off the King Arthur, get 2 there. So
That
it's a
man
2
got
for 1
Goomba stomped.
2 for 1 trade. They've really been using the double Hunbat ult this game. We've had a couple questionable placements of it, but you know what? You can afford to place one Hunbat's ultimate badly as long as you get 50% chance, you know?
They're just
You
taking
only,
turns. One good one, one bad one.
yeah, you only got to hit one. But they do get the 2 for 1 there. And it looks like I wasn't even paying attention to that mid lane fight. Hunbats chased down the Ganesh in mid.
Yeah, Ganesh was trying to back here right around his tier 1 tower, and Hunbat blinks over the wall and is able to catch him lazy backing there.
Yeah, Ganesh is not having a good game. 0 and 8. Obviously, we expect the 0 kills. Ganesh's passive coming into play. But 8 deaths. And the Erlong at 7 deaths. Looks like Erlong's playing a little bit too aggressive, and Ganesh just may have, after that first kill in dual lane, he dies twice in the early dual lane. A little bit
I do
behind. They're
like the
starting to get the fire
itemization coming
giant
out of the Ganesh at this point. The knowing that this game is kind of going towards sour end right now, he picks up the Emperor's armor,
Looks
knowing
like
that they're gonna have to
Chiron
defend
ults
under the
the
Phoenixes.
Chiron ults the Scylla. Scylla's able to Aegis. Jorm is still following the Scylla into the back line. It looks like he's definitely going to get that kill. So he started the Fire Giant there, and then blue team engaged on them. They weren't able to follow up. They do manage to
Jormungandr
punish the
does get
Jorm
burned
without
down
ult.
there. Chiron
Medusa
ulting.
hits
We
a
have big
nice
Medusa
ult.
ult.
Gets a double kill.
These Medusa ults have been on point all game today, Frog.
They absolutely have. That's the third or fourth one in a row that we've seen hit really, really well. Unfortunately, Ganesh is caught out there again, not on the same page, right? You see the Medusa back off, and you see the Ganesh go in, just not on the same page at all. They do have a minion wave here in the right lane. So I don't know. I'm a little worried about this. Medusa has the potential, if she gets basics onto the Chiron, damage onto the Chiron, to really punish them here. No, but he's not able to.
Oh, she may
Khepri
be
with a
able to
good
trade out
kill
for the
saves
Khepri. If
his
he can
life.
kill the Khepri here,
Yeah,
uh,
look at that. So
Chiron
yeah,
kind of in a bad spot here. He's gonna have to tank the Phoenix for a while.
solid play by Khepri though. He goes in and he knows he has shell. He knows he has ult. That's the perfect play, right? Because he goes in and he sacrifices himself, and he's able to allow Chiron to basically get all this free damage off on a Medusa.
Speaking of Chiron getting damage off, let's take a look at the player damage cards right now. We have Chiron sitting at 38,000
Wow!
damage.
Take a look at that. What is it? 16,000 above the next closest player, which is the
I
solo
apologize,
laner.
guys. I'm struggling with stasis mode again. Looks like we're gonna have to do another quick pause. I apologize.
All right, we will be right back. Already seen this Medusa get killed by the Chiron. We were talking about how it was a good play. Still think it's a good play. They end up getting the Phoenix here. But sorry about that, guys. Stasis mode. If you're not aware of how a spectator works, unfortunately, stasis mode is forcing us to freeze in the replay, and we have to pause and we have to back up a little bit every time it happens. Hopefully, it gives us a break for the rest of this game. But yeah, we're doing what we can. Sorry that we can't bring you the game with no interruptions.
Go ahead and add me on Twitter. It's my fault. I'm West Coast. I'm giving him trouble.
Looks like they did a little bit of damage to the Pyromancer, but at both of the players at less than half health, close to half health, they deem it's not a good play. Look at Ganesh and King Arthur, super separate from the rest of the team.
They're even separate from each other. Even when you have the two tanks together, you're kind of safe because you're both tanky, you both have CC. But like
Sure.
they were both definitely in a place where either one of them could have gotten isolated there.
Yeah, it looks like this game, the downfall of the Ganesh in the Erlang, may be communication. We've seen Erlang dive the backline completely by himself a couple of times. We saw the Ganesh go in when he didn't have any follow from the Medusa that time. So we may be looking at a little bit of a lack of communication there.
Looks like blue team's just gonna be content to set up shop here. They already have one Phoenix down. It is on the right side, which is the easiest one to deal with when you're trying to defend a fire giant. So they definitely have the capability to defend. And there's the blue team with the objective seal. How do you guys
Well,
like that one?
yeah, finally they managed to get an objective. So they must be very proud of themselves, right? That's very fantastic, and that's might have been the biggest contribution the Ganesh has made this game with that
I'm pretty
steal.
sure that was the King Arthur one that got that.
Was it? That might have been
I'm
my
pretty
mistake.
sure.
I saw Ganesh throw the ult out. I kind
We
of
have
just
a
assumed.
DC right now. Oh, he does return back to the game.
Looks like they're on the Oni Fury. About 25% health. They hop off of it. Erlang and Medusa both posturing here. Khepri should be able to zone him back a little bit as Chiron finishes it off.
I do like the pickup of the Magi's Blessing here by the Erlang Shen, able to cleanse himself from the Capri Plugs and the Morgan Suns that are kind of interrupting his dive.
Yeah, definitely a good pickup. Khepri misses the stun there anyways, but if he didn't miss the stun there, Erlang was for sure dead if he didn't have Magi's. They do manage to, they get the Oni Fury, they force them back. It looks like blue team either didn't want to contest or they didn't realize that they would jump back on it so fast. A little bit surprising. I think they were in a decent spot to contest there, in all honesty. But what are you gonna do?
One
But
thing I
yeah,
do
you were
want to
talking
point
about.
out,
Go ahead.
the Hunbats just purchased a Transcendence, it looks like, in that last item spot.
So a lot of people aren't a fan of this, and I don't really dislike it at all. Because Transcendence is not like Book of Thoth. Book of Thoth goes from, I believe it's 5%, and then it switches up to 9% of your mana when it's fully stacked. When Transcendence hits fully stacked, it does 3%. When it's not fully stacked, it also does 3%. So the difference between a fully stacked Transcendence and a non-fully stacked Transcendence isn't nearly as much as some of the other stacking items in the game. So I'm totally fine with this.
The issue I have isn't with the fact that he's building a Transcendence late, it's just the entirety of his build is full damage from here. And against
It
a comp
is.
with so much CC, I would like to see a Magi's Blessing or a Void Shield or a Mantle somewhere in this build, just because he's playing a character that likes to dive on the backline.
Absolutely, and he's been diving this whole game, and not only him, but Morgan has only switched into the Hun Bat, so this could come back to haunt either of them. Looks like blue team is not near this left Phoenix. There's a wave coming in. 3 people are here, including the ADC, and 2 of the blue team members are outside on the right Phoenix.
I don't hate having one person on that side of the map trying to get that right side Phoenix to respawn, but I don't think they need 3 people over on that side of the map. They do
Yeah,
get back in
definitely
time.
not. Managed to save the Phoenix and managed to get the right side Phoenix respawn, so that's definitely a massive win for WhoIsOurCoach. But oh no, for Brexit. Gosh, I keep getting those two mixed up. If only they didn't switch sides.
They have one more wave of fire waves to deal with here on the right side Phoenix. It looks like they're gonna clean that up with no problem.
Shouldn't be an issue. Fire Giant is still up. There's a lot of missed opportunities here in my mind. But like
yeah, have we had a fire giant go down yet?
Nope. Nope, we haven't. The one that was super close, Scylla came back in, right? With the Erlang Shen, they were able to stop it. But like that opportunity right there, they were forced to clear a fire wave and right, and they just red team all backed after they were full health.
You guys are gonna hate me, but we're gonna have to pause again. I apologize.
Okay, middle of a fight. We're gonna pause, guys. We'll be right back. 2 Erlang may survive, but so sorry about the technical difficulties, guys, but we know that we're about to see a fight here. They've started the Fire Giant. Jorm is in the back line. Morgan hits and procs that Ansile, and like I said, isn't able to follow up with the 2. Erlang may survive.
Erlang's dash gets canceled there by the stun.
Chiron comes in with the ult and is able to kill it, but Medusa hits another solid Medusa ult, is able to get 1 kill, but Chiron comes through, gets a second kill.
Big Scylla crush there. Lots of damage coming out there. Hits 3 people.
I do, at the very least, I love the solidarity, right? Because they start the fire giant as soon as they see people, they go in, right? They fight. He hit Jorm. So many low health bars here. King Arthur is just bodying the Chiron, takes him up into the ult, is able to kill him through the shell, and now is able to kill the Jorm for a double kill. And if Khepri sticks
Now
around
it's
too long,
one
he's going to
buck.
meet the same fate.
And it looks
I
like he's
want
just trying to delay as much time as he can here.
You got to give the King Arthur the triple kill.
Meanwhile,
There
check
you
out the
go.
Morgan in mid lane here.
Yeah, she can melt this if she uses Poly correctly. Yep, uses her too. Should throw one out. I don't know why Scylla's not backing.
King
Yeah,
Arthur gonna
okay.
be able to
In
stop it.
all
Oh, she gives
honesty,
up on it. Oh, the minions are able to take it.
yeah, she does get it, and she does die for it. Honestly, totally fine with that trade. The rest of her team already died. Not that much of a difference. Definitely worth one for Phoenix, but Scylla makes a misplay there, in my mind. If Scylla backs with the King Arthur, they kill her way before she gets to Phoenix. She doesn't even get half health on it. And what did she get
Agreed.
out of that push? She got a couple of minion waves? Come on now. Looks like they're looking at the fire giant here. It is enhanced, so definitely going to be a little bit harder to melt. And we've seen
Oh, this
Scylla
is
this game.
Brexit pulling the fire giant.
Yeah, we've seen Scylla's game struggle with secure. Man, they're doing it really, really slowly.
They can't let that affect them right now. If they're gonna go for it, they have to trust their Scylla for the confirm here.
Yeah, I completely agree.
They're losing
like King
every single
Arthur's
one of these
zoning.
5v5 team fights. They need to just all in this.
King
Where is Scylla
Arthur's gonna
going?
die
Why is
for it.
Scylla not on the fire giant?
Yeah, I don't know.
There it is. That was
the
honestly
weirdest
quite
thing I've ever
sloppy.
seen. That was
It
the
was quite
weirdest thing I've
sloppy.
ever seen. So Ganesh tanks it, obviously that's good, and Medusa stays in, but Scylla's not there. Again, utilizing her poly, she's just not. She's just not in the fire giant utilizing that. But more, even weirder than that, it was weird that they didn't that Scylla wasn't there. It was real weird. But even weirder than that is the fact that Red Team just lets it happen. They take the kill on King Arthur, and Yorm does an ult in. I mean, Morgan was dead and Chiron was coming off of spawn, but I'm pretty convinced that there could have been a very nice steal there. We saw the Hunbats use the ultimate to kill the King Arthur. King Arthur ulted the Hunbats, and then Hunbats ulted the King, solo ulted the King Arthur to get that kill instead of jumping in and trying to ult the Fire Giant. I don't know.
I don't know. This still is playing great in these team fights. You see her second on the chart in player damage, a mile behind this Chiron, but everybody's a mile behind this Chiron. It's just her objective play is somewhat questionable here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I really like the way, very specifically, I'm liking the Scylla play this game, and I'm liking the King Arthur play this game. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of the Medusa ults. Right? I think if they can keep that up, they might have a chance at this Phoenix defense, especially now that they have enhanced Fire Giant.
Ganesha a little bit too far forward here. Doesn't seem to pay too dearly for his price.
But Erlong does get the heal off of his ultimate. He does get the shell from Ganesh.
And when they do pull the Jormungandr ult here.
They do both survive there, which is good. But because now they're at low health bars, neither of them have ults. They're able to make a Phoenix Siege. Medusa with another solid ult against the Jormungandr. Scylla hits an ultimate.
I'm so sorry.
Kill the Chiron. Hold on, we can end this fight. Khepri gets rooted and taken out in the backline, and Yorm is going to die to the Scylla as well. But Hunbats comes in the backline, hits a 2-man ultimate, but is able to get... Oh my goodness. Is he going to make it out? I for sure thought, oh, Morgan comes in and has the peel, but now she's going to get taken down too. She's able to use the bees and get out, actually. And Hunbats goes in for no reason and doesn't use any cooldowns. And
I need a pause.
Gets out. Yes, we do need a pause, but I'm glad we got able to commentate with that fight. We'll be back. So much so that we're having a little fun with technical difficulties at this point. So much so that I know there's a fight coming up, and I casted it last time. We're gonna let Lux cast it this time. Solo cast the entire fight. It's gonna
be a little bit of solo casting practice.
A little bit of a challenge. So here we didn't talk about it a bunch as they were sieging. but they're gonna siege this right Phoenix with the other team having enhanced Fire Giant. It's real risky in my mind. This is where Ganesh gets caught out, gets abducted by the Khepri, takes about half of his health bar, and
We saw all
Erlang
this
blinks in to
together.
save him.
And we have the
Gets the
Hunbat's ult coming
Hunbat's ult.
out, Jormungandr ulting in. We see a great shell come out from, I believe, the Ganesha there.
Yep. And they back out, but now we have half health bars, and Erlang has to back to base. So now is where they try and go on the team fight, or on the
So
Phoenix.
we have a 4v5 here. Big Medusa ult underneath, gets the stun onto the Jormungandr. Big Scylla ult right here. Looking for another target after the reset. Just a little short of killing the Khepri. Erlang Shen finds himself a pick. Big Hunbat's ult coming out from the side. Is that the actual Hunbats? That is the real Hunbats. We have Morgan running away in the jungle left side. She's gonna come around on her invis, looking for a stun. Erlang pin, beads instantly. Great active uses are out of the Morgan. We see them chasing out around these back camps, and the Hunbats will get hunted down by the King Arthur here. Morgan sends her decoy one way, runs the other.
Wow.
Arthur's still looking for her in the jungle.
And she's just able to
And
get out.
she's gonna run right down mid and find a
And
safe
she's
place
gonna
to
get
back.
the Phoenix. Oh gosh, she might run to Erlang here. Okay. I see her thought process there. I'm even a fan of that thought process, that she might be able to sneak the Phoenix there. But a little bit too low. She saw Erlang, chose to make the safer play. Looks like off of that fight, they still have enhanced Fire Giant. They're gonna be able to get this tier 2 tower.
Yeah, they lost one person, the Medusa there, which is an important person to have the Fire Giant, but not the worst in the world. They still have it on their Scylla and on their front lines.
For sure.
Save the King Arthur.
Yeah, if they had been a little bit more organized, and maybe Erlang hadn't backed, maybe King Arthur hadn't backed. Granted, they were at low health, but it's possible they could have pushed a Phoenix there because Scylla has Poly.
They're going to take the tier 2 tower on left, just wiping all these towers off the board, reducing the maximum health of the Titan. Just
Right.
making it easier, make it one more team fight. This game is going to be decided on the next big team fight, I feel like. With
and they
all
get
the
the
Phoenixes
Primal
exposed.
Fury. Primal Fury is huge at this stage. I would almost say Oni Fury means little to nothing at this exact point in the game, just because they don't have pressure around the map, so the Oni Fury would just kind of get cleaned up. But enhanced Fire Giant is close to spawning again, and they got it last time, and now they have a Primal Fury to get it even easier. So we shall see. We're getting to the point in the game where gold doesn't matter. End of story. We're seeing a lot of players just don't have boots at this point. Morgan has replaced with a goodness gracious, Rod of Tahuti, and Silla's finally picked up that Obsidian Shard. Not a lot of boots left in the game, frankly. Really, just on the supports, and we had one in the jungle there, and Erlang replaced it with a Odysseus.
I do want to point out this Ganesh has a very late Stone of Binding in his build. That's typically an item you see getting picked up early on in the game because it's very good when you're ahead to be able to get a little bit of extra damage off.
Phoenix Siege here. Erlang blinks in, hits a knockup, and a good Ganesh ult.
Morgan does turn in the Scylla here. Hits a decent sized Scylla ult here. Gets, I believe, 3 people. Not anybody in the kill range.
Nice finishing hit from the ult onto the Jormungandr. Is able to finish off the Erlang Shen. I didn't exactly see who was ulted there by the Khepri, but Erlang blinks in and just focuses a character. I think it might have been the Chiron, and just focuses him and is able to get the kill. But a Khepri with a really, really good ult saves the day there, saves the fight, basically.
Blue team aggressing again, chasing red team back all the way down to their base. We see a big swing going on in this game. Red team was in complete control. You saw them at about 20 minutes in. They had a 10k gold lead.
Got to get the Fire Giant right now. This game is anybody's. We saw Red Team sieging when they didn't have the Fire Giant. That didn't go too well for them, but we saw that they're willing to take these fights 100%. So this is anybody's game for sure. Taking a look at the it doesn't look like there's gonna be a fight here. Everybody's gonna back off, I believe. But taking a look at another look at the builds, not a big fan of the Stone of Binding, as you were saying. Normally, it is a little bit more of an early game item, and we're seeing Ganesh get caught out here more than he's actually set up. I don't think I've really seen him hit a single dash, right, to like actually set up for his 2 big setup characters. It's mostly been this Scylla has been crushing it by herself. This Medusa's been hitting ults with no setup at all. right?
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of the Stone of Binding. I would
Not to
really
harp
rather see
completely
an
on Ganesh,
aura.
he has had some great active uses out of him. He's had some great shells,
Sure.
some really strong sprints. So
Yep.
he is playing his part to try to assist his team.
Absolutely. I'm trying to look through the rest of these builds to see if there's anything super
One talking
interesting.
point could be the ADC on the side of who's our coach has elected to pick up a mantle of discord in the spot of his boots, looking for a little bit of
Interestingly enough,
extra
he
tankiness.
doesn't have Executioner.
Oh, that's right. He doesn't
He
have
has the
percent
flat
pen.
pen from Brawlers, and he has the flat pen from Aussie. So 30 total flat pen, and he's hoping to use the kin size with that. I really don't like that choice.
I
I
agree.
guess he's going
Look
for
at they have
ability
nobody
damage.
here to defend
Oh
this
my
left side
gosh,
Phoenix.
yeah. Just a massive misplay out of Brexit. They're just not back in their base to defend the left lane Phoenix. And it looks like this Phoenix
There's
is
no way they
absolutely
stopped
going to
this
go
from getting
down.
fallen. Yeah, there goes their Phoenix.
Yeah,
And that's
Yorm
the
ults to
best
the
Phoenix to pick
backline.
up in this situation.
Right. Medusa hits an ult, only does damage, doesn't freeze anybody.
Looks
Nice
like Kepri
Hunbat's ult
will
coming
ult
out.
himself.
Yep.
Hunbat's able to find a kill.
Oh, this might be the game here if they manage to win this fight. King Arthur in the backline trying to do a little bit of zoning, but looks like Yorm comes back in, does a little bit of damage to the Ganesh. Oh,
Scylla gets a big crush off.
Nice beads from the Medusa to get out of that situation. Looking for a little bit more damage from the Scylla there, but man, they
Looks they're
get
gonna
that
back
Phoenix
off. They
for
successfully defended the Titan
free.
there. They lose their Phoenix, but red team should probably fall back and look at these Oni Fury spawning shortly if they do have timer for it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just not sure that they do. That's a big thing in these games. You got to keep the Gold Fury, Oni Fury, Primal Fury have global sounds, right? So you have to be keeping track of those timers. Doesn't look like they're going to be posturing towards it at all, though. Jorm backs for health, teleports back into the middle lane. Looks like they're still looking to fight. They did manage to kill the Erlong Shin in that fight, so it still currently is a 5v4. We can see Hunbat's going around the right side here. He doesn't have blink up, so he's looking to jump in and hit that ult. Kepri hits an
Hunbats
abduct
has to
onto the
have Scylla
Ganesh,
on
and
the brain here.
he's able to. Wow.
There's the big Hunbat's ult in the backline, hits two of the carries off. Morgan's able to pick off the two people push forward. Chiron getting the last hit there. This could be the game here. We got
Yeah.
two solid picks. They have 70 seconds of 5v3 here.
Yeah,
Hunbat
they
selects to back
definitely
to
get the
base.
mid Phoenix. Whoa! Morgan gets deleted by this Scylla, and she's walking back in
So
with the
looking for a
ult.
big ult. Has to find the Chiron here. Chiron's able to
Doesn't
dance
hit
out of it.
anything. Does have a solid Aegis to immune all of that damage. Wow.
Big
There's
root
a
there out
lot
of Kepri.
happening.
Oboe shredding these guys.
Yeah, Erlong respawns and just tries to go on the Chiron. Isn't able to do quite enough damage there. His mantle procs, which saves him from the Jorm follow
And
up.
again, blue team able to chase who is our coach out of their base. Once again, they lose another Phoenix for it, but they don't lose the game.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to go back to that left Phoenix fight. Massive misplay by Brexit, right? And I don't really. It's a common. It's maybe something that even an upper level team might have done, right? Because in your head, you have the enhanced fire giant. You're the one pushing. You don't expect that. It's bad ward coverage. Don't get me wrong. Like they should have known they were pushing a lot sooner than they did. But in terms of like the general mindset, it makes a little bit of sense. You're the one that's trying to push, so you're pushing up the right lane, and so you're not even focused on the other lanes. But yeah, definitely a misplay.
I'd say that's more of a great play coming out of who's our coach than it would be a misplay. Because like you said, the mindset is definitely in the right spot there.
Well, I also think another thing that they could have
I
done,
need to
like
pause. I'm gonna stasis mode again.
all right, let's quick
Sorry about that,
pause.
guys.
We're very close. I'm hoping we're very close. 2 minutes in the about this, folks. This game really should be coming to a close soon, but it's a bit of a barn burner. We're going towards this late game. We're back 2 minutes in the past now. They're gonna get this Oni Fury here for free, but we just saw who is our coach take two middle Phoenixes after a misplay from Brexit, not defending that left Phoenix. You think they're going to try and push up with this Oni Fury to maybe get the right Phoenix, or do you think they're going to use this Oni Fury to try and get the enhanced Fire Giant?
I want to see them group as 5, take the minion wave with them, and run all the way down this right side lane. Let the Oni waves do their job. Let them push forward, put pressure on the Titan. These are Oni fire waves. So if they're not able to
Oh
send
yeah.
somebody back to deal with each of these waves will put a dent into their Titan.
I think it's hilarious that we see 5 word chalices.
That's crazy.
Now I get word chalice a lot better late game, right? You're not concerned
Uh-huh.
about gold at all. You're buying 2 words every single back anyways. So it's fine. There's nothing really to talk about here, but it's hilarious just to see that kind of.
It's really bothering me that one of them or that two of them are on the other side of their item slots.
I
I really
know,
hope they would
right?
switch them.
Goodness. So it looks like a grouping towards the fire giant here. It has respawned. We have an Oni fire wave going into.
Yeah,
That
they
might
cannot contest this fire giant. Their Titan is going to take too much poke. Even
That's
if they
just
get the fire
the
giant
Oni
here,
fire
they can
wave
just
is.
walk right into the Titan and kill it if they let these
Yeah, so they've
Oni waves
decided
book
as
it.
the fire giants are going in, as Scylla is back, they've decided to go on the fire giant here. Hunbat's ults just to zone. Fire is at
Jormungandr ults.
20% health. Yeah, they're definitely just gonna pick this up. So that's the benefit of the Oni Fury, right? And it's not just the Oni Fury that does that. It's also the fact that they have 2 lost Phoenixes. But look at that. The Oni Fire Wave gets the left Phoenix through a Scylla defending. I mean, Scylla late game does plenty of damage to clear a wave, and she isn't able to kill that Phoenix with how fast it goes down with Oni Fire Waves. That is
Alright,
nuts.
this is the fight here. Whoever wins this fight is going to win the game. Death timers are nearing almost 75 seconds at this point.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think they definitely just go for the right Phoenix. The key is when they siege. They really should be sieging as a fire wave is going into
Looks
the
like the
Titan.
siege is going to happen right now. Khepri
Yeah,
walks
I
in
mean, it looks
underneath
like
the
Erlang's
tower.
just out of position. He jumps in, takes a little bit of poke, is forced to expend the ultimate, but a big crush puts Hunbats below at 25% health.
That's the Morgan's Aegis. Looking for the Scylla. Scylla is able to capitalize,
Silo
kill the
hits a
Morgan.
big one. Looking for the Yorm now. He is Khepri ulted.
Oh,
Scylla
and the
has an
time runs out on
yeah,
her
time
Scylla.
runs out.
Unfortunate.
Oh my
And
god,
check
look at
out
the
the
Titan,
minions.
you're right. My goodness. Just taking all of its health from the fire minion. Somebody
And they
has to
have
back
another
here.
fire wave coming in right away. They need to stop their backs.
They need to back, but they also need to win the fight. This looks like an unwinnable scenario for Brexit.
Oh, and there's the kill. It's just the
They're gonna
Scylla.
commit to the fight, but it's a bad commit. But they had to. They
Scylla
didn't
has to
have
get to
another
these
choice.
minions. She's doing her best in the fight,
Yeah,
but she's not going to be able to clear these minions. Minions are going to end the game.
yeah. Win for the win. We are so sorry about this technical difficulties, guys. Stasis mode and spectator being a little bit buggy, really unfortunate. Hopefully, with this new patch, it'll be able to fix itself. But yeah, in general, in that game, that was so back and forth. That was the comeback that I was really looking to see out of Brexit, because we saw a lot of good plays from them in game 1, but they weren't able to surpass the early lead that they got. But as soon as they got on par with Who Was Our Coach, I feel like they were really able to fight into that okay, even if it was mainly, in my mind, the Scylla and the King Arthur really being the playmakers.
Yeah, when you're looking at MVPs in this game, you have to look at this Chiron. This man does 68,000 damage, 20k
Wow.
over anybody, 23k over the next highest, which was the
19 and
Scylla.
5.
19
Good.
and 5, 16 assists involved in 35 kills.
Don't get me
Guy
wrong.
just performed insane.
I'm still not a fan of not going Executioner on Hunters. I feel like it's like the most base item these days. But we that's the first SLL game that we
Y'all, that was a hot game. I'm sure we can all agree. Sorry about those stasis mode problems, but and the technical difficulties at the beginning of the match, but looks like we made it work and we got through that. That was an amazing match. Good job to both of the EU teams. Who is our coach and